happy almost full moon day and almost Halloween day. It's not rare, but it hasn't happened for a while that Halloween happens on the day of the full moon. So it just makes it a little more ooh, I think. And the exact moment of the full moon this month is at 7:49 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I'd like to invite you again, as I do, I think, every month, to try to be in meditation at that time. There is a wonderful spiritual opportunity that we're given every month to draw closer to the spiritual realms at the time of the full moon. And the reason for that is that there's an amazing astrological alignment that takes place every full moon period between the constellation that we're in, which this month is Scorpio, and the sun and the moon and the earth. And it's as if there's a portal that's opened up through that alignment, and a beam of golden light shines down, and it draws the spiritual realms closer to us at that time. So we have the opportunity to connect more deeply with our guides and our teachers and the angelic realm and the masters, and to strengthen that connection that we have. And so we're told that this full moon period every month is the spiritual highlight of every month because of that alignment and because of the opportunity that we have to have a deeper connection with the spiritual realms, with the great ones. So I would just invite you to participate in any way that you can, especially tomorrow, but at the moment of the full moon is when the downpouring is the most intense. So if it's possible for you to be in meditation at that time, it would be great. So this is also called a blue moon because it's the second full moon in the calendar month. So it just makes it a bit unusual. It isn't rare by any means, but it got the name blue moon because there's 2 full moons in that particular calendar month. So before we go ahead and start talking about what's going on right now in the skies, let's take a few minutes to do our alignment with one another. So if you'll close your eyes again and just settle into that silent place within you. And in your mind's eye, just imagine that all of us are together, sitting in a circle, energetically connected. We actually are energetically connected, whether we're together in physical presence or not, because we come together with an intention to open ourselves to these energies of Scorpio and Taurus. So just imagine that connection taking place. And then gently put your focus on the heart, touching the quality of love. And sending that love around the circle to touch each person's heart. And then putting your attention on the soul star above your head, the radiant ball of light that represents your soul. And send the energy from your soul onto each person in the circle. So if you were looking down at our circle from above, you would see 2 rings of radiant light connecting each of us, heart to heart, soul to soul. And then silently repeat to yourself, I am one with my brothers and sisters, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my heart pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. So I'm not sure if any of you have noticed, but there's quite a lot of energy going around in the skies these days. It's an intense time. And so we're going to talk for a few minutes about the different aspects that are happening in the sky right now before we get into talking about Scorpio and Taurus. So I think the most important one that is happening right now is the planet Uranus. And of course, this month, the sun is in Scorpio and the moon is in Taurus. But this full moon is also sitting very close to the planet Uranus. Actually, the moon is right next to Uranus in the sky. And we know that the moon greatly affects our emotional bodies. So we're going to be feeling a lot more sensitive, in case any of you haven't noticed that. Feelings are going to be much more extreme because of Uranus's electric energy. Our nervous systems are going to be highly impacted. So we can't really be expecting people to act very rationally this month, which is not great news for our election night, but that's the way it is. But Uranus is also known as the planet of higher consciousness. So wherever we need to be made aware of our stuck places, Uranus will come in and wake us up. It's known as the Great Awakener. It's a planet of breakthroughs and breakdowns. But it's not without a purpose that those things happen. And the purpose is to open our minds to new ways of thinking, to give us flashes of inspiration and insight. So this is a good time to be very aware of your dreams this month and to pay attention to your intuition. There's a quote from the astrologer Carolyn Casey that I really like as she addresses this Uranian energy in her own life. And she says, quote, "Let the winds of change blow through my life, bringing the most radically enlivening thing that could possibly happen. I'm hoisting my sails. Parasail me into the place where I can connect with my allies, and together we can do the most good," end quote. So I think a good question for us to ponder on this month is, what can we imagine would be the most radically enlivening thing that could possibly happen to us? And we're not counting the election here, just apart from the election. What's the most radically enlivening thing that could possibly happen to you this month? It's a good way to use this Uranian energy that can be disruptive, but you know, the energies always have two sides to them. They can be used in a destructive way or a constructive way. So we're not at the mercy of these energies. It's how we choose to use them that's important. Uranus is also in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus isn't very happy with Uranus in this placement because Taurus traditionally wants stability, security. Taurians are very steadfast, and Uranus is none of those things. Uranus brings in everything unexpected, and it usually comes like a lightning bolt out of the blue. It's all about change and shaking things up. And in this case, it may give rise to social unrest or chaos. and it will be focused mainly on economic issues. So we can understand this dynamic since the economy is suffering so much under COVID, so many people out of work and struggling. So with all this Uranian energy, it's going to be especially important for us this month to stay centered and grounded so we can maintain our emotional balance. When our emotional body is stabilized and grounded, it becomes a lot more possible for us to experience expansions of consciousness. So use whatever calming techniques that work for you. Slow, conscious breathing is one very powerful way to stay grounded. Being out in nature, putting your bare feet on the earth, whatever works for you. The second aspect that's important this month that's happening right now is that the planet Mercury is squaring Saturn. In other words, they're 90 degrees apart in the sky. And a square is not necessarily a very harmonious aspect. It usually requires some struggle to make peace with those two parts. And so this Mercury squaring Saturn is likely to bring a lot of negativity, worry, and anxiety. None of you are feeling that, are you? Oh my God, even without COVID, I'd be feeling worried and anxious. So the invitation again is to stay centered in your heart. Immerse yourself in compassion and look for the highest possible perspective on this situation to help keep yourself calm. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about Scorpio now. Scorpio is not an easy sign. I know, because I'm a Scorpio. And sometimes when I tell people I'm a Scorpio, I get that look of, back off, back off. You know, it's just not an easy sign. It's full of conflict. It's ruled by the fourth ray of conflict, harmony through conflict. So it's inherent in the Scorpion journey to be presented with conflicts. And the purpose of the conflicts is to strengthen us, to resolve, to work out those conflicts. And through the working out of those conflicts, harmony is achieved. So harmony through conflict is the keynote of Scorpio. And in Scorpio, we always are entering into the darkness of the winter. And the ancient cultures believed that winter was a time of tremendous spiritual power. They believed that the sun journeyed through the underworld, gathering the secrets of life and death until its rebirth in the spring. And life and death is one of the themes of the Scorpio energy. It's all about transformation, letting go of the old, whatever has become hard and rigid within us, whatever has outlived its usefulness. This sign is a sign of continuous struggle. I could tell you more about that from my own personal experience, but I won't go into that tonight. But it is a continuous struggle between letting go and letting in. So another good question to ponder is, what are you willing to let go of this month? And what are you willing to let in? Can you let go of the old so that there's room for more light? Scorpio is a sign of conflict, as I said. We're going to be tested and tried. And it couldn't be any other way with Mars and Pluto as their rulers. Mars, the god of war, the planet of conflict. But also Mars brings in an energy of self-empowerment, because when we deal with conflict in a healthy way, it often requires that we dig down and find our inner strength to handle whatever the conflict is. And through that discovery of our inner strength, we're empowered. We can use that warrior energy of Mars to fight the good fight, to fight for what's true and uplifting instead of doing battle. And Pluto rules over endings and separation. It's the lord of the underworld. In the esoteric tradition, we see this conflict as the struggle between the soul and the personality. The soul is always trying to move toward expansion, and the ego, or the personality, usually resists change. Always at this Scorpio interval, there is something trying to come alive within us. And usually there's something trying to keep that light hidden. This struggle is inherent in our evolutionary journey. Our lower nature, the personality, must eventually become the servant to our soul, our higher nature. Our higher impulses must rule our lower impulses, and this always involves a struggle. It's the nature of our ego, our personality, to protect the status quo, its comforts and habits, and it's the nature of our higher selves to run counter to those instincts. Therefore, we have a struggle. If you've ever tried to break a pattern or a habit and establish a new pattern, you know what this feels like. Not very many of us, open our arms and say, "Oh, welcome change, come on, come on." Most of us resist. And when we try to establish a new pattern, resistance will almost always kick in. Taurus is the opposite sign to Scorpio. And Taurus is all about illumination, opening the third eye, sometimes called the eye of the bull. And the glyph for Taurus is the head of the bull. The mantra is, "I see, and when the eye is opened, all is illumined." Taurus is the mother of illumination, and Scorpio is the sign of darkness, that which is hidden, the sign of secrets. So eventually, Scorpio must find its way back to the light. One of the mantras for Scorpio is, "Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant." So that's hopeful. We know even though we're going to be faced with all these conflicts, we will eventually emerge triumphant. Taurus is also the sign of attachment and desire and materialism and the need to feel secure. And what she needs to learn is to go inside to find her inner security. Scorpio's purpose is to relinquish and release all those attachments, to die and be reborn again and again and again. There's 3 common images that symbolize the Scorpio journey, and these symbols represent levels of consciousness. So when Scorpio is the least evolved, it uses its stinger whenever it's hurt or attacked. It can be manipulative, secretive, sneaky, and often misuses her sexual energy and power. The Phoenix represents a little more evolved Scorpio. At this level, she bravely travels into the underworld of her own psyche and does battle with her shadow, the unredeemed parts of herself, of her personality. The obstacles are recognized and faced and burned up in the fire of love and light. And the Phoenix emerges from the ashes free and transformed. The final stage on the Scorpio evolutionary journey is symbolized by the eagle. This is pure spirit. The eagle flies high in the sky, totally free of any attachments to the physical world. She can still experience the physical world. She's just not attached or identified with the body or the emotions or the mind. This is what we call enlightenment. The Scorpio journey is also symbolized for us in the mythical tale of Hercules. In a book called The Labors of Hercules by Alice Bailey, she describes this mythological journey. And it's symbolic of our own evolutionary journey toward enlightenment, because Hercules is asked on this journey to overcome 12 different conflicts. And these 12 challenges correspond to the 12 signs of the zodiac. Each sign presents him with a new challenge, just like our journey each month, where we are given the opportunity to work with the gifts and challenges of each sign in order to move along on our evolutionary path. So what is the challenge in Scorpio? It is to meet what is deep inside of us, our own personal underworld. And the gift of Scorpio? We can call on Mars for courage and strength to face what we see in the underworld. In this tale, Hercules goes before the great presiding one and is sent forth to slay the Hydra, a giant beast who lives in the hidden swamp. Deep, dark, hidden, just like our unconscious. Before he goes forth, the great presiding one gives him just 3 pieces of advice. We rise by kneeling. We conquer by surrendering. We gain by giving up. So Hercules takes off and he searches and searches for this Hydra. He goes everywhere. He cannot find him. It takes him forever to locate him, and he finally finds him in this deep, dark, hidden swamp, and he's asleep. So Hercules takes his bow and arrow, and he lights a fire on the bows and sends them into this swamp to try to awaken this Hydra. And the Hydra finally does awaken, and when he awakens, he stands up, and he's, of course, very upset and angry, and he has 9 heads. So Hercules thinks, well, I can take this guy on. So he takes out his sword, and he starts whacking off these 9 heads of the Hydra. But every time he takes one off, 2 more grow in its place. And he fights and fights and struggles and struggles and struggles, and finally he is exhausted. And at that point, he remembers what the great presiding one told him. We rise by kneeling. We conquer by surrendering. We gain by giving up. And he kneels down in humility and raises the Hydra up, surrenders the Hydra to the light, and the Hydra is transformed. So in this myth, the Hydra represents all those parts of our personality that we have hidden away in the swamp of our unconscious. The Hydra has 9 heads, and each one is representative of an aspect of our personality. And notice that these heads could not be killed by fighting, by waging war, by doing battle with them. In other words, we can't redeem our personality just by using the strength of our own personalities. We can't solve a problem on the same level of consciousness with which the problem was created. We must transmute them by holding them up to a higher consciousness. And once these traits are transmuted, this energy becomes available for higher purposes, and it can become a source of power. I think this is such a hopeful story because it shows us that we don't need to be victims of our lower nature. Notice how Hercules transmitted these traits. He knelt in humility. In other words, we must acknowledge that we have limitations. We're human. There's no reason to judge ourselves. We conquer by surrendering. We surrender our small self to the will of the soul. And we gain by giving up. We courageously release, give up each personality trait that is keeping us from union with our soul. We release them to their higher purpose. Once when I was meditating on Scorpio, which is my sun sign, these words came to me. Make of my heart a resting place where all can come to be blessed, to be cleansed, to be immersed in a cauldron of love. Enter fear. Welcome anxiety. Come in confusion and uncertainty. Come and rest. Lay your bodies down. Be cradled in the waters of love. In our meditation today, we are going to travel down to the cave of our own underworld, and there we will contemplate whatever obstacles might be in the way of us having a deeper alignment with our souls. So to begin our meditation, make sure you're seated comfortably with your spine relatively erect, if that's possible. And begin to gently focus on the breath, closing your eyes, breathing in slowly and rhythmically. Let the nervous system carry the message of relaxation to every organ, muscle, tendon, ligament, bones, skeletal system, and cells. Feel the body as it lets go and enters a deep state of relaxation. Now let us breathe into the emotional body, feeling the emotions become calm, like a still lake. Then let us send our breath into the mind, asking for the busy mind to become quiescent and still. From this place of alignment, let us breathe into our heart the color of Scorpio, scarlet red. See this color as a mist that descends into the room and breathe it into your heart. Feel the heart as it receives this passionate, vibrant energy. Allow this feeling of aliveness to penetrate every cell of your body. Feel this energy as courage. Feel yourself become the Scorpio warrior. Warrior I am, and from the battle I emerge triumphant. This is the Scorpio journey. From all the tests and trials this energy presents to us, we will emerge victorious. And now, using your imagination, I'd like you to see yourself in a place of great beauty. Perhaps someplace you've actually been, or just someplace you can imagine. See yourself there as clearly as possible. Look around and notice your surroundings. This is a sacred place that is protected and safe, and yours alone. Feel yourself settle into the beauty. Notice the aroma in the air. Is there the sweet smell of flowers or the crisp smell of autumn? And notice that the temperature is just right for you, so you are comfortable and at ease. Do you hear any sounds in this place? Now, feeling yourself fully there in this sacred space, look around until you see a path off in the distance. And just imagine one is there if none comes to mind. Start walking toward this path and follow it as it winds through a gentle forest. As you walk through this forest, notice the trees, the plants, the ground. You are entering a sacred grove. Take a moment to send gratitude to all the devas and nature spirits that live in this place. Feel their presence. Eventually, as you continue your walk, you come to an opening that looks like a cave. Notice that this cave is large enough to allow you to walk into it easily. And once inside the cave, you notice a stairway leading down into the center of the earth. The stairway is lit by candles attached to the walls, and you easily make your way down to the bottom, where you see a beautiful door. When you walk through the doorway, you see a room that is dimly lit, but you notice a chair in the middle that has been prepared just for you. You go and sit in this chair and feel your allies surround you. All those beings that work with you from the unseen worlds, they are here to assist you. Call on them. Now close your eyes and go gently within. Reflect for a few minutes on what you perceive is the darkness within you. Where are those places that keep you stuck in unhealthy ways? What is in the way of you expressing your authentic self in the world? Ponder on this for just a few moments. And now bring to mind one or two patterns or beliefs or behaviors that you sense are ready to be transformed. State your willingness to release them and ask your allies to assist you in this letting go process. You might visualize them in your mind's eye being lifted up to the light of your soul. Send them upward with your humbleness, your surrender, and your love. You may or may not feel an actual release take place, but know that those dark places have been filled with the light of your intention, and the potential for a complete healing is now possible. When you are ready, send your gratitude to your allies and to the spirit of this sacred space. And begin your journey back to your special place of beauty. Notice when you arrive if everything looks brighter, more alive and vibrant. Know that something has been cleared away within you, allowing you now to feel more fully that scorpionic energy of the warrior. Before you bring yourselves back to our room, I'd like to close with this prayer for our country and our world. Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit, we come to you in prayer. We come seeking the light, seeking redemption, invoking your help. We affirm that we wish to be aligned with the forces of light, and we ask that these forces descend upon our country, stimulating the Aquarian soul of America. The destiny of this soul of America is to lead humanity into the Aquarian age, into the age of cooperation, right relationship, and right distribution of resources. We pray for that power to descend upon us. We pray for the light to overcome the darkness. And we visualize that light pouring down into our planet, into our country, and we see that darkness dissipate. We pray for the healing of our nation. Let the forces of light bring illumination to humankind. Let the spirit of peace be spread abroad. May people of goodwill everywhere meet in a spirit of cooperation. May forgiveness on the part of every human be the keynote at this time. Let power attend the efforts of the great ones. So let it be, and help us to do our part. Namaste, friends. Thank you for your participation, and I wish you well. Stay safe, be healthy, take good care of yourself, and if you have any comments you'd like to make, please put them in the chat box, and I will see you next month. Blessings.